Welcome to Table for One. I'm the narrator, and in today's video, I'll be doing a solo playthrough of Voidfall. And in this solo playthrough, I'll be playing on map number 7 from the compendium, Today is Not the Day, and I will be playing with House Zenor Origin A, which is Destroyers. Let's get rolling. Alright, so I am all set up to play a solo game of Voidfall. I am playing as House Zenor today using Origin A, which is Destroyers. And from the solo compendium, I am playing map 7, Today is Not the Day. So Zenor is one of my favorite houses. I am looking to wreck some stuff with these Destroyers today. I am playing on hard mode, so I've got that reminder card here. And let's go through all the setup stuff. So I've got 2 level 0 crises here. On the military track, I have to gain the improved version of my starting tech. And on the economic track, have 20 or more total combined production yield. House Zenor's special ability, of course, is when you overproduce science, the excess becomes credits, but you may not overproduce credits. Here's the origin card here. So I've got very little production, but a decent amount of resources. I start 1 space advance on the economic track. I've got 1 active fleet power. I do have an extra corruption. I've got 1 on my house map, but 1 on my outpost as well. So you can see, again, not a lot of guilds, but I've got a lot of fleet power on the map. So 1 destroyer here, and 3 corvettes in my home sector, plus another corvette in my outpost. The 3 heroic focus cards are development, prosperity, and leadership. I did draw heroic innovation, so when you do that in cycle 1, you just put it on the top of the heroic focus deck, and you'll get it in cycle 2. So I know heroic innovation is coming. The 4 houses I got for the tech tableau are House Cortazar with torpedoes and star bases, House Dunlork with orbital docks and energy cells, House Marquelos for autonomous drones and trade nexus, and House Nervo with robotics and arc ships. And the 3 techs without a influence bonus are arc ships, autonomous drones, and torpedoes. And we can see in cycle 2 the improved techs that are going to be on offer are energy cells, robotics, torpedoes, and arc ships. And House Zenor does have 2 replacement focus cards. They're Conquest and Politics, so we still have 1 of each of the basic focus types. They don't have different names, but you can see the actions are of course different. So interestingly, Politics does not have a trade token. That's been moved over here to Conquest. And Conquest does not have an ability to activate fleet power. Usually you can activate 2 fleet power on Conquest. Instead, you activate 1 on Politics with your invade action. So that's pretty interesting too. And we also get science production and basic tech research on Conquest, which is pretty unusual. So these are neat cards. I plan on using them. Our preferred focus cards for House Zenor are Progress and Reinforcement. And our Cycle 1 Galactic event is Looming Destiny. We'll take a look at that in a minute, but we're going to have 5 turns in this first cycle. And then my usual disclaimer before I start, all of the sweet looking pieces that I've got that you might not have are from Brain Bucket Games. It's an Etsy store I co-own with some friends. There's a link in the description. So it's going to be a lot of the token type stuff, including the ships, as well as these trays here. We've got other storage type stuff, so you can check that out if that's something you like to do. And today I am, again, playing with the metal cubes from Anachrony because they're just the right size and they're awesome, at least for myself. I've got these 14 neutronium cubes for my House Zenor fleet power. If anybody has a good lead on where I can get metal orange cubes to replace all these Voidborn cubes, that would be awesome. It would be hugely expensive, but I haven't found any decent orange cubes yet, but I would sure like to. And then one other note, just in case you're new here, the reclaim and bounty tokens, again, these are from Brain Bucket. They're blank on the back. Whenever I take over a sector that has one of those, all the cardboard ones are in these draw bags, and I'll just draw one at that time. It saves a little setup time. But I think that's just about everything. Before I start with the Galactic event, I just want to talk strategy real quick. So I'm going with Destroyers. I'm going to try and do a lot of invading. I'm going to try and play a more military strategy today. But I haven't quite decided which way to go. This is a really interesting map. So they give you, next to your home sector, this Genesis sector right off the bat that you can take. There's a Harbinger on it, of course, and it's got a low population. But you can take this Genesis sector really early on. And if you can build it up in cycle 1, it'll take care of this safe haven for you. Now, again, with the more militaristic strategy, I'm trying to go a little bit wider than tall. Safe havens aren't really my top priority, but if I can just do that passively, it can fund all of my expansion just from this sector, which would be cool. And then the bonus, of course, would be good at the end. Whenever I complete that safe haven, plus the 20 points is still fine. The rifts are pretty far away and they're spread, far from each other. There's, of course, the megalopolis sector here, lots of credit production. I can't overproduce credits, but credits are still helpful. I'll probably be getting most of my credits through science, though. If you're playing a more economic strategy, of course, this has a fixed population of 6 and 2 pre-printed guilds. So if you can purify that sector and place 1 guild on it, then you won't have any upkeep for guilds, which is kind of nice. And that'll satisfy this requirement here for safe haven. So it's kind of a nice sector, but I don't know if it's my target today. However, this Novercon Palace allows you to spend a credit to raise one of your tracks. Or I should say, once per focus, when you raise one of your tracks, you can spend a credit to additionally raise your lowest track. So Zenor is pretty good at raising tracks in general, especially with cloning, which I'm not using. I'm using destroyers. But that could be a really handy sector for pushing your tracks towards the end of the game. So I'd kind of like to have that. Fallen House sectors here, Mark Willows, both those techs, I would love to have them. So that's a good target. And the research complex there is a really cool ability. So it's got the production or the pre-printed guild for energy, the Engineers Guild, but you can spend energy as science and science as energy. Credits are excluded from that exchange, but that's really cool, especially with Zenor being pushed to have a lot of science. So then it gives that science more flexibility. Energy tends to be one of the most important costs for invading actions. So that could help fuel some of those, end of game, cycle 3 invasions on those 2 rifts if I can get that sector. So in one respect, I'd kind of like to go this way to the Fallen House and then come down here and then maybe swing up through the Novercon Palace, get the rift, and then try and come either this way or this way to clear the final rift right at the end of the game. But there is something to be said for getting an early Genesis sector. And I've only got the 1 guild. My production yield is super low. So I'm going to need resources to fund all that. And so there is a case to be made for going to the Genesis sector first. So I think I might take the Genesis sector early and then come up this way to the Fallen House and down to the research complex. And we'll kind of see from there. These 2 sectors are not to be ignored either. Those are some really juicy looking sectors. They've got great rewards with the dual reclaim tokens. So who knows which way this is going to go. But let's start with the Cycle 1 Galactic event, Looming Destiny. First, we need to add a reclaim token and a sector defense to 1 adjacent Voidborn sector. So I've got 2 options here. And I think I'm going to throw this on the Genesis sector to get more reclaim tokens there. And I think I will still try and take this sector early. I've got so much fleet power in my home sector. I can still take this really without any difficulty. And then I'll get a couple reclaim tokens and hopefully I can build this up super fast. That would be nice. Oh, and I suppose I should slot my starting agenda here. So I'm going to gain 1 victory point or 1 influence for each basic tech, 3 for each improved tech, and 3 for each pure sector. So I want lots of techs, especially improved ones, and I want pure sectors. That's where I'm starting at with House Zenor. So now the next thing I need to do on this Galactic event is corrupt the dominance agenda type. So let's add a corruption marker there. And finally, we can either activate a fleet power or deploy a fleet power to my home sector. My home sector is pretty stacked right now. I've got a lot. That activate is really strong. Don't ever underestimate the power of activating fleet power. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take another fleet power. And then at the end of this cycle, if we've got at least 1 non-starting pure agenda in one of these slots, then we can build an installation. That's not super strong. Otherwise, if we've got 5 or more pure guilds, then we can gain an agenda card. We would much rather have that second one. We'll certainly have the first one, but we're going to aim to try and get the second one because I'd rather gain another agenda. So let's get started with the first turn. I need to draw an alert card. And it is move that over a little bit, level 1 alert. So let's get a crisis card. And this is Tooth and Nail. It's a general crisis. After you build a pure installation, choose to also decrease the population in the same sector. And then the immediate penalty, if I choose to take it, is to deactivate 1 fleet power. I don't really like that at all. And I don't even have a sector that's pure where I can build an installation. My only pure sector is my home sector, and there are no installation slots there. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that, but not in love with it, just right off the bat. So we'll see if I can make things even more precarious by starting by playing Temptation. And I'm going to start with this middle action, Conspire. I need to take a Corruption, and where am I going to put this? I guess I'll put it here for now in one of my agenda slots. I don't want to put it, I can't put it anywhere on the map because my only peer sector is my home sector, which can't be corrupted. I don't really want to put it on any of these tracks yet. It's so early, any of them might still advance, and if anything, I'm going to probably get one slotted agenda, maybe two. So I don't want to prevent myself from scoring, but I don't want to miss any of these bonuses either. So now I can advance one track, and I think I'm going to advance the Statecraft track to allow me to activate another fleet power, and maybe that'll pay for this penalty. And then I can do the Galactic Peak action. So I can look at the top 2 cards for the Cycle 2 Galactic event and choose which one I want to be on top. So the next 2 cards are Growing Menace and Triumph Overall. These are very different cards. So Growing Menace, this is the one that is only for co-op mode. So 6 turns in Cycle 2 is huge. Otherwise, Triumph Overall, 4 turns in Cycle 2. But the penalties on this one, this card is going to be a lot more difficult when it comes into play versus this one. So let's compare the two. So Growing Menace, when it comes into play, add 1 Harbinger on each open rift, which this is a map with 2 open rifts. That's going to be 2 more Harbingers. That is quite a lot. And then players may swap resources, but that's not helpful to me because I'm playing solo. Then add 1 Reclaim token on each Voidborn sector adjacent to 1 or more rifts. So we would be adding 1, 2, 3, 4 Reclaim tokens. That's not so bad. But then also, during the evaluation phase, add 1 Voidborn fleet power on each sector with a Harbinger. Which certainly by the end of Cycle 2, I think is probably going to include the rifts. So that's pretty significant. And then for each Reclaim token we have, gain a Bounty token. And if we have no catastrophes at the end of Cycle 2, we can remove a Corruption, which is super strong. But that means we're going to have to hold off on the catastrophes until Cycle 3, which could be a lot. But the other option, Triumph Overall, 4 turns in the cycle, so a lot fewer turns. But you can either gain a tech or you can activate a fleet power and gain a trade token. Those are both really nice. And then throughout the cycle, whenever a player gains a glory token, immediately improve that same glory token. And then for each glory token number 5, each 5 value glory token you have at the end of the cycle, you could produce a different resource type. And if you have 10 or more satisfied upkeep, you can either gain 10 influence, that's not great, or you can advance your Statecraft track, which could be helpful. So I'm definitely liking this one more, just all the effects on the card and the scoring, but I mean, six turns in a cycle, that's hard to turn down. And 6 versus 4 is like a big jump. If it was 6 and 5, it might be a little bit more of a debate, but I think I'm going to keep Growing Menace on top. Which I don't choose that one very often, but let's see what we can get done with 6 turns in cycle 2. That could be pretty cool. So that was this action is now complete. And then I'm going to take my exploit action. So I'm going to take a action off of preferred focus. I've got progress and I've got reinforcement. And I was going to take the action off progress to gain a tech, but I realized I'm going to need that science because I want to play politics next, and all those actions cost science. So I think instead I'm going to take an action off reinforcement, and I'm going to take this top action. So surprising myself already, I need to deactivate a fleet power, which kind of hurts a little bit, but then I can advance any track and I can build a sector defense. So I'm not going to turn down the sector defense. Let's just go ahead and put one of those there. That's fine. It doesn't hurt me. And then advance a track. I'm going to advance Statecraft again, which allows me to build an installation and activate a fleet power. So this one comes back to active. And I'm going to build a shipyard here because I think there's a decent chance I'm going to grab orbital docks. I would like to have that. So if I'm going to be pushing more shipyards, then maybe I'm going to want to gain this agenda here that'll score me for having 3 or more shipyards. Although maybe I want to cycle through these. I think there's a multiplier for shipyard sectors, so I'd rather get that, I guess. But okay, that is the end of this turn, so I guess I'll leave that there. I guess I'm going to deactivate a fleet power to take care of this crisis right now. So let's get rid of that and this alert card. And we go into the next turn, draw my next alert. It is a level 2 alert, so let's get a crisis card. And we have Precision Strike. It's a general crisis. I've got to remove a Harbinger. Otherwise, the immediate penalty is I can consume a basic tech. And I think I will actually remove a Harbinger this turn. I am playing politics like I was aiming for, and I'm going to take these top 2 actions. So I'm going to start with the topmost action, Inspire. First time I've touched this, I didn't actually have to spend any resources this whole first turn. I was just moving fleet power around and taking Corruption. So this is going to cost 2 science. I've got 3. I go down to 1, and this will work out. I'm advancing my statecraft track. And I can advance it again, and now I can gain a tech. And I would really like autonomous drones and trade nexus. Arc ships is a little further down the list. I don't think I need energy cells right now. Orbital docks I'd really like. Star bases are always great. I don't really need robotics. I'm not doing a ton of development. Torpedoes would be excellent too, but they might be a little overkill. I don't know. I might need them by the end of cycle 2 though. So a lot of options, but I think right now I'm going to start with trade nexus. See if I can get a little bit of a trade token economy going since I don't have any guilds. So I'm going to gain 4 influence, go from 10 to 14. And now I gain 2 food. I'm really going to need that. So go from 5 food to 7. And I gain a trade token. So I'll take one of those. And for the reward, I can either take a bounty token or 1 science. I think I want the bounty token. So I'll get the drawback out here and gain 1 bounty token. And this can either be 2 food or 1 influence. And I'll take 2 more food, thank you very much. I go from 7 to 9, so I'm looking good on upkeep. So we'll put this over here. Guess we'll leave it like that. And now I can slot that tech. So that was this first action. I advanced here, gained a tech. And the techs, of course, are going to score me, so that's good too. Now I'm going to take this middle action. So that's going to cost an energy, a material, and a science. So here's 1 energy. I go from 3 to 2, a material from 3 to 2, a science from 1 to 0. Now I can activate a fleet power, and I can invade. And I am going to invade this Genesis sector, and I'm going to move, I think, all of this fleet power in. Well, maybe I want to keep some to invade this before too long. Yeah, I'm going to leave 1 Corvette behind. So here's another Corvette fleet token. We're going to transfer that here. Invade with a destroyer and 2 Corvettes. All right, so on the way in, these are just basic destroyers, so I don't get the improved destroyer approach damage there. So there's a sector defense. I'm going to take 1 approach damage. I'm going to lose a Corvette. That goes back to here. And now the initiative is 2 Corvettes to 1, 2, plus 1 when I'm an attacker with destroyers. So I have 3 initiative. So I fire first, and because I have a destroyer, it also does 1 extra damage. So I'm going to do 2 damage, and the Voidborn won't have any fleet power left to fire back in the first salvo. So I win the combat. We'll remove the installation, put my fleet power there. Let's start getting our goodies. Let's take this glory token. So that's 1, 2, 3 glory for me. So I go from 14 to 17. So pretty much won the game right there, I guess. 17 influence. I don't know how the Voidborn are going to beat that. I can move 1 corruption, and I'm going to move this one off of this sector. Really hate to put it on my house mat. It's looking pretty crowded. I'm going to throw it over here on my society track, because I think that's the least likely one that I am going to advance right now. But a lot of corruption here. That's not good. But I've got nowhere else to move it because I do want this sector pure. And there's a Harbinger here, so I've removed it. And I guess I'm moving it, not removing it. I guess I'm moving it from the sector to the crisis board, as opposed to removing the Harbinger from the game, which I guess is what this really suggests. Although the glossary says remove a Harbinger from the map, and I've certainly removed one from the map. I've added one to the crisis board, so I'm going to call this done. I think that's a fair interpretation based off the glossary. And now I've got a couple of reclaim tokens here, so let me get that draw bag. Let's draw 2 reclaim tokens. I hope for some basic guilds. That would be ideal. We've got, an engineers guild. I'll take that. And, just 4 influence. Well, I guess I'll take that too. That would be better late game, but that's okay. So 4 influence, I go from 17 to 21. And I will take that engineers guild. So that goes here. That's a basic guild type. So that's going to increase this population from 2 to 3 because it's a Genesis sector. And that's going to increase my energy yield. So I go up to level 3, my yield is now 2. My total yield across all resources is 3. So a far cry from this 20 that I need to remove that level 0 crisis card from my economic track. But now I can remove these tokens, and that is it for that second action. So I'm in a pretty precarious position. I wouldn't want to draw a war card right now because I've got so much corruption here. I'm not well defended. And then if we remember the Galactic event that's coming for Cycle 2, it is good to have these reclaim tokens, because for each one of those I'll gain a bounty token at the end of that cycle, but I also want to keep to 0 catastrophes here if I want to remove a corruption. So if I draw a war card now, I would certainly need to take a catastrophe, and I don't want to do that. But anyway, that's it for this turn. Let's put this trade token here. We're going to slot it. How are we doing here? I'm almost to tier 2 with my statecraft track. I maybe wouldn't mind getting this this dominance agenda here with a statecraft multiplier. That might be good later. But for now, let's draw our next alert card. All right, it's a level 1 alert. That's good. I need those easy ones right now because I've really loaded up corruption. Take a little bit of a gamble at the beginning. This is Burning Bridges, Military Crisis. After you build a guild, choose to also remove a bounty token and a reclaim token from the map. Otherwise, I can remove a non-home shipyard or starbase. Well, I do have a non-home shipyard. I could afford that cost, but I could probably afford to do that too if I'm going to build some guilds. And in fact, I think I will build some guilds because I am playing Prosperity to take Heroic Prosperity. And I am flipping my trade token to take all 3 actions. And so I'm going to start with this middle action. That's Revolt. The cost is I need to remove a non-home guild. And I'm going to remove this one because that'll allow me to build 3 more guilds here and get this up to 6 without having to use any other effects. So I'm going to remove this Engineers Guild. So my yield is going to go back down. I'm at level 0 again. But I gain another trade token, so let's take one of those. And for my reward, I think I'm going to keep going on bounty tokens for now, because I kind of need all resources, so it doesn't matter which one I get. They're all important, and maybe I can score for bounty tokens. Maybe I can find that agenda card later. So another 2 food, so I will still take it. I go from 9 to 11. Food's looking good somehow, so I'll put that over here. And so that was me gaining a trade token, and I can remove a Harbinger as well. And I think, I don't know, let's get rid of this one. I don't really know why. I think of the 3 sectors with Harbingers, this is the one I want the least. I'd like to get either of those. I'm probably going to go that way. And so there's a case to be made either way. I either want to remove the ones that I don't think I'm going to remove via, taking over the sectors so that I get more points off the map, or I want to remove the ones in the sectors that I do want to go to so that I don't have to put them on my crisis board and suffer those penalties. So I don't know, 2 approaches to the same thing. I think I'm going to go that direction now that I've got the Genesis sector. So, maybe late game we'll start removing the ones. I don't know. I don't know what I'm thinking, but that's the one I'm taking anyway. Decision made. I'm gonna keep moving. Let's take this top action. I need to spend 2 resources, and believe it or not, I've got a lot of food. I'm going to go from 11 down to 9 food, and now I can advance my economics civilization track and gain 4 resources in any combination. Let's do the resources first. I'm going to take 2 science. Maybe I'll take 3 science. And 2, 3. Let's do, 2 science and 2 credits. I'm up to 5 credits and 2 science now. And now I'll advance that economic track. That goes to here. I can build a guild, and let's put a miners guild here. That's a basic guild type, so this will go from 3 to 4 on the Genesis sector, and now I can adjust my dials. I didn't really need the food right now in this particular moment, so I'd rather just keep that combined yield going up for this purpose here. So I go from level 2 to level 6, my yield is now 4 materials. And that gets me just, if I'm going to overproduce something, I don't really care what it is. I'm just doing it for the influence. But again, I've got a lot of food at the moment. I know I'm going to be putting down science guilds later, and I need basic guild types here. I think because I'm going to be going heavy for science, for Zenor, if I can take this sector, science will be my energy. And if not, I should have enough credits for credits to be my energy. And then food is just important for the upkeep, of course. I'll probably put some farmers guilds at some point. But now this action is done. And I'm going to take this bottom action, no cost, gain an agenda or build an installation. I definitely want the agenda. And technological singularity is really good, but you need 4 techs to score the influence on the left. I know I'm not going to have that this cycle. It's looking like I'm going to have 3 techs, so I know I won't score that now. And then 5 influence for every pair of pure sectors. I think by the end of this cycle, I might have 3 pure sectors. I don't think I'll have 4. So that's going to be worth 10 influence at most right now. I think I might leave this and then try and grab it again later because I'm going to draw 2 here. If I don't like either of these, then I'll try and grab this one later. So we'll draw the top 2 wealth agendas. We have, 2 victory points per reclaim token. That's nice. Or if you've got 2 reclaims, score 4 and then score your glory. That's not bad. That pairs with what I'm doing. Or if I have 2 or more pure fleet power of different types on the map. Both of these are actually really good for what I'm doing. Man, these are some great options. I think this one might scale better based off me trying to get a lot of expansion, so my glory should be going up, and then the cycle to event is going to improve glory as well. I think I'm going to go with this. This will go on the bottom of the deck. I mean, I'll score that every time, no problem, but scaling, like gaining a bunch of reclaim tokens, it's harder to get a lot of reclaim tokens. I'll have a few that'll I'll get some points off, and I'm sure I'll get more, but it's not like bounty tokens where you can keep getting them from here. So this goes into my hand. I like that agenda quite a bit. Oh, and I did build a guild from this action, and so if I remove a bounty and reclaim from the map, then I can remove this this card. Either that, or I could remove that shipyard. I think I'll do the bounty and reclaim. The bounty's going to come from here, and the reclaim from here. So that's fine. This is solved. This goes away. And now my trade token needs to return to the Galactic board. And because I have trade nexus, I gain a trade bonus. So I could take this. I'm going to take another bounty token. I'm just going to keep going on bounty tokens. So here's the draw bag. Take one of these. We get, I'll take 2 energy. Sure. So that goes from 2 to 4. I'll place it here. It's always possible. This is still available, but if I start getting enough bounty tokens, which I might dig through this deck to try and get the bounty token multiplier as well. But then again, I might just stick with this. Who knows? So this heroic prosperity card can go away, and I need to slot this trade token. I've got a slot for it right there. And now I grab the next alert card. It's a level 2 alert. Thank goodness. I've got to do something about all this corruption. I haven't figured that out yet, but we've got a military crisis. This is our world. After you invade, have a pure sector with 3 or more fleet power. It does not have to be the sector that you just invaded in. I will certainly do that at some point, but I don't think I'm going to do it right now. Or the penalty is I could choose to corrupt this support agenda and spend 2 energy. But I don't know if I've got a ton of interest in adding more corruption anywhere. So I'll have to think about that one. For my next card, I'm going to play development to take heroic development. And I will pair it with this agenda, but I will not play the trade token. And I'm going to start with this top action. I'm going to spend 2 materials, so I'm out of materials now. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I'll spend 2 credits, go from 5 down to 3. And I can build a guild and increase the pure population in the same sector. So I'm going to build this. Oh, interesting. Maybe I'll build this scientist guild here, actually. And increase the population from 4 to 5, which wouldn't normally happen with the Scientist Guild, but I kind of like that. So now my level on materials should be 7. Yep, so that goes up. Science level is now 5. That's pretty good. So my yield is 3 and 4. And then I'm going to take this action. I'm going to spend 3 of any resource in any combination. I'm going to spend 2 science and 1 food. No, I don't love that. I'm going to spend 2 energy. I'm just going to spend 3 energy. I go from 4 down to 1. Now I can build a guild of any type. I'm going to build, I think, a scientist's guild. I'm now realizing I'm not going to meet that criteria. It's going to be a problem unless I spend a trade token right now. So I can put the scientist guild in my home sector, and then I'll build here, and I'll have 4 pure sectors. If I want to have 4 pure guilds at the end of the cycle, if I want to have 5 pure guilds, I need to put this here and purify the sector. If I spend this now, that means I'm going to get 1 fewer action on my next card because I planned on spending that later, so I probably won't invade that sector, which I guess is not the end of the world. So I can certainly do it next time. So, okay, fine. I guess I am spending a trade token, which means I'm going to place the Scientist's Guild here. So that level goes up 2 more times, up to 7. And now I gain 4 resources of any type. I think in this moment I'm going to take 4 credits. So I'm going to go from 3 to 7. And now I'll take this action. So I will spend 1 science to remove a corruption from a sector. Rather remove it from my house mat at this point, but getting corruption from anywhere is good, and that at least gives me a place to move corruption to get it off my house mat. So I'm going to remove this corruption, and I can build an installation in that same sector. So I guess I'm going to put a sector defense. There we go. And now I still have my agenda action. I can build a guild and then produce that resource type. So I want to put a guild here, and I want it to be a basic guild so I can get this up to 6. There's a case to be made for another miners guild, but I know there's also some scoring opportunities for having 3 different guilds in a sector. So I'm going to build a farmers guild here. That'll increase this 5 to a 6, and now I've got to adjust all of my levels. So food will now be at level 6. I've got to add 1 to materials, which is now at level 8. Add 1 to science, which is also at level 8. So my total yield now is 5, 10, 14. So getting closer to 20, not too bad. And I'm going to produce food. So I go from 9 to 13 food. Not a bad place to be overall. So now I'm going to slot this agenda and return the trade token to the Galactic board, gaining a trade bonus because I have trade nexus. So I'm going to take another bounty token. So I get, what do I get? I get 2 materials or 1 influence. I'll take the materials. So I go from 2 to 4. Cool. And what else? I've got to return heroic development to the heroic deck, never to be seen again. And now I've got to deal with this crisis card. And I really don't want to make it ongoing because the last thing I need is more military strength during skirmishes for the Voidborn. So I'm already skirmishing at 1, 2, 3, 4. That's kind of a problem anyway. I don't want to make it 5. So I'll take the immediate penalty. It is going to hurt. I'm going to add a corruption to the support agenda type, and I need to spend 2 energy. So I go, I've only got 1 energy. So that goes to 0, and then I'm spending a credit. It doesn't say I can't use credits. So these go away. And so now we grab our last alert card for cycle 1, and it's a war card. We just needed to get 1 more non-war card to avoid some real problems. So I will probably have to take a catastrophe, but let's keep going then. Well, I guess let me think about it. My intent was to play Conquest, originally with all 3 actions, and I was going to invade this sector. And I was going to do that by, when I gain a tech, I was going to take autonomous drones, which would let me deploy. I'd put a destroyer in my home sector, and then I could easily move those 2 into there, take the sector. That'd be great. And then I'd be able to gain an agenda and another trade token for next cycle. And then when I used my trade token on the last turn, I was like, well, if I'm not going to invade, then I don't really... what was I thinking? If I don't need to invade, then I'll still take autonomous drones, but I'll keep the trade token, and during the skirmish at the end of the cycle, spend it to then automatically win that combat, which I might still need to do. But the other option I'm now considering is playing reinforcement, because that could allow me to put down sector defenses, which could maybe help with the skirmish at the end of the cycle. Or more importantly, I can do muster, I guess, on top of it. I could put a sector defense here. There's no more slots here. And then if I muster, I can put another fleet token or another fleet power there and there. Oh, I wouldn't be able to put one there though. Reinforcement would really be a lot more effective if I already had orbital docks, but sadly I don't. So if I were to skirmish right now at 1, 2, 3, 4, if 4 fleet power came in here, 2 would be lost due to the sector defenses. If I were to, let's say I played this and I advanced this track, which allowed me to regroup and then deploy, I could regroup to here and deploy another one, and then it would be 3 to 2. I could win there, but then in this sector, I would just kind of be stuck with what I already have. I could build 1 sector defense, but then 4 would come in, it'd be down to 3, and it'd be 3 initiative to 2. I got no bonuses on the destroyer for defense. So basically what it comes down to is I could save this sector or that one, but not both. And I've got a war card and then the end of cycle skirmish coming up. So I think my only path to not losing a sector is to take a catastrophe here and then gain autonomous drones to use the ability to spend a trade token on the end of cycle skirmish. So in order to do that, I am going to stick with Conquest, and I don't have a trade token, so I'm just going to play these two actions here, which I'm not disappointed to play this card. It's still a great card. I'm going to spend my 1 science, I've only got 1, to then produce science, so now I go up to 5, and gain a tech. And it's got to be a basic tech. I am taking autonomous drones. I think I've decided that's my only option. If I had one more turn, I would take orbital docks and then I would deploy. And that would be better, but I don't have that many turns. So I can deploy 1 fleet power still and take a trade token. So let's take the trade token first, gain a bonus. I'm going with another bounty token. Got a pretty good bounty economy going here. So we get 2 energy or 1 influence. I'll take the energy. That's going to be useful. Goes up to 2. Okay, there's my bounty tokens. Might need to just scoot a little bit. Getting a lot of tokens here. All right, what else? So I've done... What have I done? I gained a trade token? No, that's there. Here's how I gained a trade token. Okay. And then I can deploy 1 fleet power. And there are no restrictions on that. I can deploy it anywhere in any fleet type. So I'm going to do another destroyer, and I'll do it in this sector here. And that makes it possible for me to invade this sector next cycle. I would rather go here to here and go up that direction than move from here this way. I just need to bolster this sector with more defensive stuff so it can defend itself. I'd rather just leave 1 Corvette there and fill it with sector defenses maybe so that I could keep going that way with my fleet power. So, okay, that was autonomous drones. And that was the end of this action. So now I'm going to take this action here. So I spend 3 credits. I go from 6 down to 3, and I can gain an agenda and a trade token. So another trade token, yes please. Let's do another bounty token. So draw from the bag. And we get 1 science and 1 influence. I'll take that. So science goes from 5 to 6, and influence goes from 21 to 22. All right, and I get an agenda. And I would really, really like a dominance agenda type so that I can invade. I know I'm getting heroic innovation next cycle. I'd really like to pair those together, but I think the last thing I need right now is another corruption, you know? I really need to do some corruption management. Star bases, or improved star bases is good for that, but it's not even on the offer for next cycle. That's going to be cycle 3, so that's a ways off. And you know what? I'm going to gain an agenda here during this step, which will be after the skirmish. So let's not make the skirmish harder, even though I guess I'm going to spend a trade token. I've already decided. But what else do I need to play next cycle? Well, I think I'll probably start with innovation. So I'm going to invade here. I get some techs. I'll probably get orbital docks, basic, and then improved destroyers. So if that's my first turn, then my second turn, I'd probably like to play reinforcement to use the orbital docks to get a bunch of stuff back out on the map. But that would mean taking these 2 agendas. I really don't need 2 more corruption right now. That's way too much. So alternatively, I could play development and get some sector defenses down. That might be helpful. And even remove a corruption. That could be really good. Then again, I might want to keep my trade token economy going. What does prosperity look like here? Is that something I might want to do early on? I could build an installation. I could advance this track and I can get a couple trade tokens that way. That's not bad either. Progress is never bad for House Zenor. So I can get me another tech, although, yeah, I will have room for another tech even before I get the Fallen House sector. So that's a possibility. I guess I'm just thinking, knowing that I'm going to take a dominance agenda, I'm pretty confident I'm going to take that here. Then which one of these other types should I take now? And really, there's a case for each of these. I think I'm going to take this type, though, the might agenda, because I'll probably play prosperity, and then this can gain me a trade token, and I can gain another agenda with prosperity to then maybe play reinforcement or something. And this one is not bad. I would probably get the 6 influence for having 3 shipyards, because I'm sure I'll do that by the end of next cycle. But having pure sectors with 3 or more fleet power, it's a great multiplier. But I don't want my fleet power all clumped up like that. I want to go really wide. So I think I'm going to take the next 2. And then similar to what I did with the wealth agendas earlier, I can always, that one's still going to be on top. I can always try and grab it later if I think I need it. So what do we have here? I guess we've got to put this bounty token away. And yeah, this is more what I was hoping for. Although this one's good too. Each pure fleet power on the map is 2 influence. That could be awesome. But then 2 influence for each pure shipyard or starbase. It kind of encourages me to go get some starbases too, which would be great towards the end of the game. That's a really good multiplier too. And just have a lot of food yield. which I'm currently at 4. I can probably get that up to 8. That's really good too. I like both of these. I'm more interested in getting food yield than energy yield, even though I like that multiplier. I'm going to take this one. That's pretty good. All right, let's put this on the bottom of the deck. So I've taken my trade token and my agenda. I've already taken this action. So that's all the actions for Conquest. So now we will slot these 2 trade tokens, one here and one here. And then we've already determined for this war card, if I attempt to complete this war card, I am certainly going to lose the skirmish at 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not going to be good. So I am going to take a catastrophe token. I didn't want to do that because if I have no catastrophes at the end of cycle 2, based off the event that we know is coming, I can remove a corruption. But I'm just going to take the catastrophe, remove a corruption now. It's better to get it out of here now. And so I'll take this one off of my track, off my society track for now. Well, no, you know what? There are crisis cards that want me to have one there. So I guess I'll take it off of this next agenda slot. I think chances are pretty low that I'm going to want to advance my society track. I would only do that when resolving this advance your lowest track icon, and I've already decided on this card I'm gaining a trade token. I'm not going to take that. So I think I'm safe to do this. So I took a crisis. This goes away. And for the crisis bonus, I removed a corruption from my house mat. So now I skirmish at 1, 2, 3. That is almost survivable. But it's not. So that was my 5 turns. We go into the evaluation phase now. We have to start by resolving the crisis board. Again, 1, 2, 3. I would be okay here, but not here. And I don't think I really could have played it much differently. If I had played reinforcement instead of conquest, I wouldn't have gotten autonomous drones. I guess I could have mustered to here, and then regrouped some more fleet power down here and added a sector defense. But I mean, I got an agenda and a trade token and a tech. Like, this was the right move. So I guess I could have managed this skirmish after taking the catastrophe token if I had played reinforcement, but I think this was still a stronger move long term. So I'm going to use my autonomous drone ability. During the skirmish in the evaluation phase, I may remove a trade token. I may spend a trade token to win the combat. So I'm going to do that. This goes back to the Galactic board, and because I have trade nexus, I gain another bonus for that. And I will take another bounty token. Let's just keep doing that. So we get 1 resource of any type. And for the time being, I am going to take a credit. That is probably the way to go. I think I've got, so I'm at 13, 2, 4, 4 now, and 6. And I'm going to spend 1 science here. I kind of like to push science because if I can overproduce it, it'll turn into credits. But I've got 6. I'm going to produce 5. I'm not quite on the cusp of overproducing science yet. I'm going to need another scientist guild or to increase that population a bit. So I'll stick with the credit for now. It's more immediately useful. So let's put that bounty token over here. That was me spending a trade token for this skirmish. So now I still need to resolve the economic row. So I will pay 1 energy, go from 2 to 1, 1 material, go from 4 to 3, and 1 science, go from 6 to 5. So now it's time for upkeep, everybody's favorite. I've got 2 from this agenda here, and 3rd from those installations, and a 4th from those guilds. So that is very affordable. I go from 13 down to 9 food. No big deal. Now we do the safe haven check, and indeed I've got a pure sector with 6 population and 3 guilds, so I can build 1 level of safe haven. Let's do this one, just to get the reward sooner. If I can finish both of them, great, but who knows? Assuming I do hold this sector for the rest of the game, that would be 3. So there's an argument to say just put those 3 there and be done with it. So complete the bigger one. But the penalty for incomplete safe havens is the same regardless of how many slots are in the safe haven. So I'd rather get the reward sooner. And in theory, if I do 1, 2, and my 3rd one from this sector goes here, hopefully I overproduce science a couple of times to be able to finish that one off anyway. Not to mention maybe advancing this track a few more times. So, okay, that was the safe haven step. Now we go to the Galactic event. Do I have a pure non-starting agenda? Yes, I do. So I could build an installation. Do I have 5 or more pure guilds? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I do. So I can gain an agenda card. So I will take the bottom option. I will take an agenda card. And I will take the dominance agenda type. So I'm going to have to gain this corruption. And this one here is not bad, but I'm going to look at the next 2. I have the option to grab that one again later. This one's a multiplier for the economic track. Ooh, and this one is sectors with 2 or more. This one is not going to work for me. Society track at level 2 or higher, and sectors with 2 or more upkeep. I don't really want that. This is 4 or more sectors with 3 or more peer population. That is more doable than this. 2 or more sectors with 5 peer population. And then this is a multiplier for the econ track. So I'll take this one, but I expect to get rid of it at some point, either replacing it with this or just having 3 agendas of other types. So now I need to place this corruption somewhere. So I don't really want to put the corruption on my house mat because going into the next cycle, who knows, I could draw a war card first thing. I don't want another catastrophe. And looking at my sectors and my scoring, it's only going to cost me 3 influence to not score one of these sectors. So I'm just going to place it here, actually, to keep it off my house mat. And it's going to be 3 influence in this part of scoring, but that's not really the end of the world. So surprisingly, a lot of my scoring doesn't revolve around having pure sectors. It will certainly in the next cycle and through the rest of the game, but I'll take that while I can get it. So speaking of, now we score our agendas. So this first one, I've got 1, 2, 3 basic text. That's going to be 3 influence. I go from 22 to 25. I have no improved text yet, and each pure sector is 3 influence, so 3, 6. So that's going to get me up to 31. And then if I have at least 2 reclaim tokens, which I do, I've got 2, I get 4 influence for that, so I'm up to 35. And then I score my glory, 1, 2, 3. Could have been a little bit higher. So I'm at 38. Usually my target is to have at least 40, so I'm pretty close. A little bit low. Had a lot of corruption this cycle, but I think I set myself up really nice for the rest of the game, for going into the next cycle. So now I'll do the preparation phase for cycle 2. So I'm going to refresh these heroic focus cards. I didn't get to use heroic leadership, which is too bad because it's pretty strong, but I had other things to do. I'm going to, refresh this whole deck here. So I had 2 level 2 alerts, 2 level 3 alerts, 2 war cards, and a harbinger to this board here, which will certainly go in the economic row. I don't need any more difficulties on the military row. And then I will remove 1 trade token from the Galactic board, remove the tech blocker from the improved techs up there. We know what our cycle 2 event is, so I'll get that ready. And then I'll take my focus cards back into hand and add innovation into the mix. So stick around and I'll see you in cycle 2. All right, welcome to cycle 2. So Growing Menace is our Galactic event. We knew that was coming. I think I sort of have a loose plan for what I'm going to do this cycle. I think I'm going to continue to try and come up this way and take over that sector. But I realized I kind of didn't have to go this way, but kind of did. I got Trade Nexus and Autonomous Drones, which are the 2 techs you can gain when you take over this Fallen House sector. So I still want to get that sector because then I can still flip it over and have a 6th tech, but I won't be gaining one of those as an invade action. But if I can get this sector by the end of the cycle, I'm going to get a bunch of reclaim tokens, which are going to get me a bunch of bounty tokens, and that'll be really nice. So let's get started with this Galactic event. The first thing we need to do is add a Harbinger to each open rift. So that will be a bit painful. We'll put a Harbinger here and another one way up here. You'll notice the other heroic cards this cycle. We knew innovation was coming, but we've got reinforcement and temptation. None of these allow me to remove harbingers, so that's going to be a bit tricky. And now if there was another player, we could exchange resources. And now we're going to add a reclaim token on each Voidborn sector adjacent to 1 or more rifts. So that's going to be 4 more reclaim tokens on the map. This is adjacent to a rift, as is the Megalopolis and the Novercon Palace up there, and this sector that I'm going for. So 3 reclaim tokens and a number 4 glory token. That's pretty nice. And then at the end of the cycle during the evaluation phase, we're going to add a Voidborn Fleet Power to each sector with a Harbinger. So ideally, we'd get all the way to that rift or that close a rift this cycle, but I don't think that's going to happen. So like I said, I've got sort of a loose plan for this cycle, but let's see where it takes us. So I'm going to start by playing Innovation, and I'm taking Heroic Innovation. Oh, I guess I should draw an alert card, huh? Let's maybe do that. We start with a number 2 crisis, and that's going to be an economic crisis. Before you spend a trade token, choose to also spend 2 credits. Or I could deactivate a fleet power and add a Voidborn fleet power to every open rift. I'll definitely be doing the top one. So yeah, playing Heroic Innovation, pairing it with this agenda card, and flipping a trade token. So I am spending a trade token before I return it to the Galactic board. I can spend 2 credits. Let's just do that right now. 2 credits. So I'm down to 2 credits now. This is taken care of. Oh, wait a minute. Let me put this back and give myself those 2 credits back. So I go from 2 back up to 4. I'm going to be able to get rid of that crisis card anyway. I don't need to spend the 2 credits. I'm going to be doing other stuff. So let's start with this middle action. There is no cost. I can gain an improved tech, and I will improve my starting tech, Destroyer. So I gain 6 influence for that. I go from 38 up to 44. And that allows me to activate 1 fleet power. And now when I'm in combat, I gain, when I'm the attacker, I also do 1 approach damage. So that's pretty cool. So I've got my improved starting tech. That means I've completed this level 0 crisis. I can get that off my military track. Super important. And now I can also remove a Voidborn fleet power from an adjacent sector. I wish I was somewhere else. I'm not going to take that one away because then the sector would become immediately abandoned and then 2 Voidborn fleet power would take over the sector. So I'm going to take 1 from here that's adjacent to my Genesis sector. And now I think I'm going to take this top action. So I need to spend 4 resources of any type. Oh boy. I'm going to spend, I think, 1 science, 2 credits, and a materials. So I'm at 9, 1, 2, 2, 4. I don't know actually if I like that. Let me keep the science and spend a food. And let me keep a credit and spend another material. Okay, now I'm at 8, 1, 1, 3, 5. So I've spent 4 resources. I can gain a basic tech. And now is the time for orbital docks. So that's going to go here. That's going to get me 4 influence. So I go from 44 to 48. And what else? I can build a shipyard and activate a fleet power. So here's the fleet power. And here's the shipyard. But I am realizing I didn't want to take that action yet. Before I do that, I can spend the resources. I'll take this. It's fine. This won't affect anything. Before I do this, I'm going to do this. Let me invade first. So I'm going to invade this sector. And I'm going to move in with this destroyer and with this Corvette from my home sector. So I've got 1, 2, plus 1 for the destroyer who's attacking, 3 initiative to 1. I fire first and do 2 damage. So I take the sector with no losses. And the only thing I get is this glory token here. So I score 4 glory, taking me from 48 to 52. Okay, now that I've got that sector, I'll take this action. I've already paid for it, taken the tech. Took my influence. I'm going to place this shipyard in this new sector that I've got. That's what I would prefer to do. And I activated my fleet power. Okay, now I can slot that tech, and now I can produce science and credits. I have 0 credit production, but I will get 5 science. I already have 5 science, so that takes me up to 10. Didn't overproduce. And now I have the bottom action left to take, spend 2 resources to gain an agenda and discard a crisis card. So let's spend those resources. Man, I guess I'm going to spend 2 science and go down to 8. And now let's gain an agenda. And I'm going to take this dominance agenda now. So I'll add this into my hand and flip this over. Okay. And remove a crisis card. It's going to be this one here. So that was 1, 2, 3, and 4 actions. So now I'm going to return the trade token to the Galactic board. I have Trade Nexus. So let's get another trade bonus. Sticking with the bounty tokens right now. So I have this one, 2 food or 1 influence. I'll take the 2 food. Maybe it'll get me closer to overproducing food. I'm at 10 food. I produce 4, so not too bad. So we'll put that bounty token there. And now I can get rid of the heroic card. And I can slot or return this agenda. I guess I'll slot it for now. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to replace it with this one, but I might as well slot it. It's something. That way, if for some reason I don't get around to playing this one, then I've at least got something slotted. But it's not really worth the extra upkeep for me at the moment. But that was 1 turn. We can return this crisis card now, or alert card rather. Draw the next alert card. It is a level 2 alert. And our crisis card is a general crisis. After you deploy, choose to also spend 5 basic resources in any combination. You may not use credits. I think these are also called supply resources. The food, materials, and energy, I think those are called supply. Or I could discard a trade token. I'm not discarding a trade token. I might do that though. So for this turn, I am going to stick with my plan from last cycle and play Prosperity to use this agenda card. And I have no trade tokens to spend, so I'm going to take 2 actions here plus the agenda action. And the agenda action will be to take a trade token. So let's take 1 of these. And you know what? I'm not going to take the bounty token this time. I'm just going to take 2 food. So I go from 10 to 12. That's just because I'm probably going to end up paying 5 supply resources anyway, so that'll count towards the 5. So that action's done. Now I'm going to take this action, Flourish. So I need to spend 1 material. That goes down to 0. Now I can advance my economics civilization track, so it goes up and then goes up again, and that will allow me to build a guild and gain a trade token. So let's take a trade token, and now I'm just going to grab 2 credits. So this goes up from 3 to 5. That is very helpful. And I think another scientist guild would be appreciated. Let's put that there so I'm not paying upkeep on it. So, or maybe I should just throw it in the home sector. Yeah, I'll just throw it in the home sector. That's fine. Either way, it's going up by 2 levels. So it goes from 8 to 10. What is my total yield, combined yield now? I've got 8. Plus 5 is 13, plus another 4 is 17. So I'm getting closer to 20. I need like another guild or a population bump. But that was this action, which allowed this track to go up, so I got a couple bonuses. Now I'm going to take this action on the bottom. This is Organize. I've got to deactivate a fleet power and then spend an energy and a material. I'm going to spend an energy and a credit because I'm now out of energy and materials. So I've got 4 credits left. Now I can gain an agenda and build an installation. And let's put my installation here. Let's do a shipyard. Now I've got orbital docks. That seems like a good idea. And I've got this multiplier now for shipyards in pure sectors. So that's probably a good thing to purify to score. And I get an agenda. And I really don't want to do it, but I think I need a supply agenda. I don't want that corruption, but if I don't gain the supply agenda, I'm going to get an agenda that's just going to sit for a long time and not get played. So I will take a supply agenda, but I don't want that one on top. I'm not really building a bunch of farmers guilds, and corruption management is not a strong point right now, so one of these two. So this one is going to score if I have 6 or fewer upkeep, and for pairs of engineers guilds, this one is for 0 corrupted sectors and for having pure sectors with no empty guild slots. I'm closer to scoring something on this one, but neither of these is that great. I probably won't slot a supply agenda then. And what am I going to do with this terrible corruption? I really, really hate this, but I think I'm going to have to put it here. That is not my favorite thing ever. That is all of these actions. I'm going to slot these 2 trade tokens, and I will slot this agenda. I think this one's a keeper. And now I've got to do something about this. I think I will make it ongoing, and I'll put it on the military track because I think I'll get rid of it next turn, and I'll deploy. So it'll go away before I have to resolve, a war card, for example. So this alert guard goes away. Feel like I'm living real dangerously with corruption. So I've got one more tech slot here. If I take this sector, I'll have another tech slot. I was thinking I might do energy cells and star bases to give me some defense. And then in cycle 3, if I can improve star bases, some way to remove corruption. But I'm now wondering if I should do one of those 2 and robotics. Because development focus has an action that removes corruption. So I could remove corruption twice when I play development, which is not such a bad prospect. So I'm not sure. We'll see. But let's draw the next card. It is going to be a level 3 crisis. Oh, man, and this one's this is a problem. All right, so Pillars of Power. Gain an agenda while having 4 or more upkeep from pure sectors. Well, I've got 1 upkeep from this pure sector. This sector is corrupted, but it would give me a 2nd. I could put a guild down to get a 3rd. I would need a couple installations to get a 4th, and then get an agenda. In the meantime, it's a military crisis. And the immediate penalty is take 2 corruption. I can't do that. I just simply cannot. And this is going to be made all the trickier because I am playing Temptation. But I'm not going to do what I thought I was going to do with it. I'm going to take Heroic Temptation. I think that will help. And I will pair it with this agenda card. And I will not use a trade token. And I don't even remember what my plan is. I think somehow this is all going to be okay, though. So let's see. I'm going to start with this bottom action, Exert, and I need to discard a slotted agenda. So I'm going to discard this Dominance agenda since I'm just going to replace it with that anyway. So this one goes away, goes to the bottom of the stack. That's the cost. Now I can activate 1 fleet power. I can deploy 1 fleet power to my home sector. So I will do that, and I'll make it a destroyer. And I can produce 2 different resource types. So I'm going to produce science. I'm at 8. I produce 8. So that gets me up to 16. 15 is the limit. As House Zenor, the 1 extra turns into a credit. and I have just overproduced science, so that's 3 influence. So I go from 52 to 55. And now for my second production, I'm going to produce food. I'm at 12 and I produce 4. Again, the limit's 15, so I've just overproduced food. That's another 3 influence. Now I'm up to 58, and I overproduce twice in 1 focus, so I can build 1 level of safe haven. So I'm going to take my cube and put it there, and it seems like a really, really good idea based off all these harbingers and what's going to happen to get rid of a harbinger, probably this one off the rift, so it doesn't get even stronger. But goodness knows I need to get rid of some corruption. So it's going to be the corruption that goes. I'm going to take this one off this agenda slot. That is my safe haven bonus. And I'm thinking at this moment that I will probably just leave this rift alone. I think I won't have much trouble finishing the 2 safe havens, and I should be able to go up that way and get that rift. So if I take out 1 rift and 2 safe havens, and I'm able to maintain some of these sectors, I think I'll be in decent shape for endgame scoring. But that was this action. I think it was a good one. Now I'm going to take this top action. So I need to spend 4 resources of any type. I'm going to spend 4 science. I go down to 11. And then I can gain 4 resources of any type. And I think I'm going to gain 4 credits. So I go up to 9. And now I can take an action off a preferred focus. And so I'm going to take an action off reinforcement. I'm going to take this muster action. So that costs 2 materials. I don't have any, so I'm going to use 2 credits. And now I can deploy to each shipyard. And I have orbital docks, so each shipyard counts as 2 shipyards. And just because they're both in the tableau, for if anybody was wondering, if you have a starbase in a sector with no shipyards, it still triggers orbital docks. That is covered in the glossary. So each sector with a shipyard, I can deploy up to 2 fleet power. And so I'm going to deploy 2 fleet power here for sure. And I think I'm going to split these 2 up. I think I'm going to put 1 here. I'd kind of like to put both of them here, but I think I'm going to put the other one here. So at some point, I think I'm going to need to regroup and push down this way with some of my fleet power. And so I just deployed a bunch, and I'm going to spend 5 supply resources. So I'm going to spend 5 food, go from 15 down to 10. And now I can remove that crisis card from the military track. And that was this action and this action. So now I can invade. I would like to go here and take that Fallen House sector because I want to keep pushing my way to this. I want to at least get that. I don't know if I'll be able to get the rift. I don't know if I'm going to have like enough regroup actions to get all the way to the rift. But this is really scaring me. I've already got 1 catastrophe, so I'm not getting this anyway. Maybe I take another catastrophe, but I might need that for a war card too. The only other way I can get rid of this is like through this action here, but I wasn't really planning on playing that card. You know, it would give me a regroup, which is nice. Advance my lowest track is not super helpful because it's corrupted, and I would have to take a corruption here, so that's pretty painful. You know, it makes me think I'd be better off getting energy cells and just placing some sector defenses down to help mitigate some of this strength. So I don't know, maybe this will happen. I guess I'm making it ongoing. I'm going to slot this agenda. Oh, wait, I didn't take the action yet. What am I thinking? I do want to take that action, don't I? Yeah, I'm gonna invade that sector. Yeah, I am. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do this, I think with the minimal amount of firepower I need. So I need to move 3 fleet power in. I could spend a trade token for autonomous drones, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave 1 destroyer behind. I'm going to move in with 2 destroyers and a corvette. There's 2 sector defenses, so I'm going to lose a corvette and a destroyer. And that's it. I survived the combat. So let me clean this up a little bit, but I'm going to gain this and this. This is a 1, okay? And I've got 1 destroyer there and 1 destroyer here, and I have no more corvettes. All right, so here's a glory token. Let's score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 glory. So I'm at 58. I go up to 63, and now I gain 2 food and 2 credits. So food goes up to 12, credits goes up to 9, and both these basic techs I already have, but I still get to flip this card over so I can have a 6th tech at some point. Now I'm spread real thin with a bunch of not very good sectors, corruption all around, but there is a path here. This way. We're going this way. We've got a nice supply line there. If I can just move some fleet power down, I've got trade tokens to spend to go into here and potentially even grab the rift this cycle, which would be huge. That would be a really big deal. So, okay, now I'm going to slot this agenda card. going to keep it. So I've got a Wealth, a Dominance, and a Might. The Heroic Temptation card goes back to the Heroic deck. That's gone. That has been 3 turns, I believe. Innovation, Prosperity, Temptation. Really wanted to take that Galactic Peak action, but just didn't make sense. So now I am going to make this ongoing and hope that I achieve it, I guess, or find a card to get rid of it later. I'll get rid of this alert card. And going into turn 4, let's draw the alert. Oh man, it's a war card. Okay, so at the end of this round, at the end of this turn, when I've got to resolve the crisis board, and if I successfully defend, gain a corruption. I do not need that. What I need is decontamination chambers, but that's not here. My, oh my. All right, well, what I think I'm going to do is play Politics with no trade token. And I may or may not take a catastrophe here. I really don't know. My plan was I was going to play Conquest and pair it with this agenda card because it'd be great to build an installation so I can defend myself somewhere and get a basic tech, specifically energy cells. So maybe I can build a sector defense, and that would really help right now. Although, again, getting robotics is pretty critical too to do development twice. But I think what I need, I can't really attack using Conquest right now because I think I need regroup. So I'll probably advance on my statecraft track to get this regroup action and then invade. I think that's how I'm going to keep propelling myself down that way. So let's just go ahead and put that into action. 2 science. I go from 11 down to 9 to advance my statecraft track. And now I can activate 1 fleet power and I can regroup. So for my regroup action, I'm going to take these 2 destroyers and move 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I've got 1 more regroup available still. But I don't really see any good candidates. You cannot abandon during regroup. Otherwise, I might move this to here and just forget that sector, and that should be enough to like propel myself down that way. But I think I'm just going to leave it here. There's nothing to be gained by taking a fleet power and pulling it back to my home sector from here. So I guess that's it. So now I'll take the middle action. I'm going to spend 1 science. I go from 9 to 8. And then 2 credits because I don't have any energy or materials. So I'm at 7 credits. And now I can activate 1 fleet power again. That'd be great if I had carriers, man. That'd be awesome. And now I can invade. And I'm going to do just that. I'm going to invade this sector from here. I'm trying to decide if I should just abandon this sector or if I want to leave a fleet power behind. I think I'm going to abandon it. I'm going to move. I mean, it's just, it's corrupted. There's 1 population. There's nothing else there. The only benefit it has is it like makes a continuous supply line here. But since I have orbital docks, I can put down a shipyard up here and kind of resupply myself on site. So I'm going to abandon this sector. When you do that, the Voidborn take it over with 2 fleet power. I need to lose a glory token. I'll lose a number 1 glory. I got plenty of those. And we add a bounty token. And if it wasn't corrupted, we would corrupt it now. So I've abandoned the sector. I'm invading here. I am now going to spend a trade token to use autonomous drones to gain 1 approach absorb and 1 salvo absorb. So this goes back to the Galactic board. And because I have trade nexus, I also gain a trade bonus for that. And so I think probably another 2... Well, let's grab 1 science and 1 credit. That seems like a good idea. And so now there is a sector defense, but I've got an approach absorb, and I have improved destroyer, so I do 1 approach damage. And now we go to the salvo step, and it's actually 4. I get 1 extra. 4 initiative to 1, I fire first, and I do 1, 2, 3, 4 damage. So that is the end of that combat. Think I'm happy with that result. Let's grab the glory token. Here, let's move in like so. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 glory. So I go from 63 down to up to 71. And now I get these reclaim tokens. I'm going to leave that sector defense there for just a minute in case one of these gives me a sector defense. It'll just save me 2 seconds worth of work. So let's grab our 3 reclaim tokens and hope that they are excellent. So here is 1, 2, and 3. And so we've got an Engineers Guild, an installation, and 4 influence. I got the other 4 influence one. So for the installation, I think I'll keep the sector defense. And this one is just 4 influence, so I go from 71 to 75. And the Engineers Guild or 1 resource of my choice. I will take the Engineers Guild because I'm hoping, I don't know, I haven't done the math, but I'm hoping that I can get rid of that level 0 crisis on my economic row. So that's going to go up 4 levels. I think I'm going to be just short. So I've got 4 yield, 5, 6, 7, 12, plus 8 is 20. Oh, okay, cool. Let me do that again. 8 plus 5 is 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I don't know how to do math at all. Let's do this a third time. I've got 8 plus 5 is 13, plus 3 is 16, plus 4 is 20. Okay, so I've got 20 or more total combined yield, so this level 0 crisis goes away. I finally got my math right on that. And now these placeholders go away, and I can put my earned reclaim tokens right there. So I got 5 of them. So not too bad, and I've still got a trade token left. I could easily take out that rift with one more invade, and I have not played Conquest yet. So I will probably do that, but those are these 2 actions. I need to figure out what this looks like now. So I might take a catastrophe, I might not. Let's walk through what this skirmish would be. So I've got 1, 2 corruption plus a modifier of 1, so the Void Board would invade with 3 fleet power. I would certainly lose a sector. If they came in here with 3, they would go down to 2, and then I would have the initiative. I would eventually win. If they came in here with 3, they would certainly win. I've got no way to defend it, and then no approach damage, and then they come in and have the initiative and fire and win. This is the one that scares me the most. I think this is where they would attack because it would do the most damage. If they came in with 3, we would have tied initiative. We would go back and forth until we were both annihilated, and then the sector would be abandoned. So that's extra bad. I don't want to lose that Genesis sector. And even if I could defend it, I don't really want that corruption. So am I going to take a second catastrophe? Yeah, I think I am. Man, and that is just really painful. But I'm going to do it. Let's take a second catastrophe. I'm going to remove another corruption. I think that would be prudent. Let's get rid of... Ooh, these are both options. Let's get rid of this one, though. So there goes the war card. And let's see what crisis card we're going to have for the next turn. Oh man, we have another war card, 2 in a row. That's rough, and this one's at +1 Voidborn fleet power, so I cannot take another catastrophe. I've got to do something else. And so I would really like to play development right now to put down some sector defenses, because then I think I could survive the skirmish. But I don't really want to play development until I've played Conquest, because Conquest can allow me to grab robotics and then double up this bottom action on development, remove 2 corruption. If I'm going to do that, I would like to get 2 uses out of it. So, you know what, I am going to play Conquest. That was my original plan. I'm going to stick with it. I do have this agenda to play with it, though, so that's good. And I am going to flip this trade token. Okay, here we go. Let's start with the bottom action. I need to spend 1 science, so I go from 9 down to 8. Now I can produce science, so 8 plus another 8, that's 16, so I've overproduced. The leftover 1 becomes a credit, so 3 more influence, I go up to 78 from 75, and now I can gain a basic tech as well. And there's a great case to be made for really all these, probably least of which is torpedoes, but energy cells would certainly be helpful. Star bases could be good in the next cycle for corruption removal. That's obviously a problem, but I'm using robotics for corruption removal. So arc ships could be good to help get some population up. But here we go. We're going to do robotics. We're going to take this. I get 4 influence. I go from 78 to 82, and I immediately gain 2 materials. That's fine. Go from 0 to 2 on materials. And now I slot this, and I do have a 6th tech slot over here, which I almost certainly want to use for energy cells. But Star Bases is not off the table yet either, and long shot, but maybe arc ships. But that was my first action. Now I'm going to take this middle action. That's going to cost 3 credits. I go from 9 down to 6, and I gain an agenda and a trade token. And for the agenda, I'm going to go with a wealth agenda. And I'm going to take 2 off the top of this stack. This one's like still a maybe. The one I've got, Redemption Collective, is, I don't know, I'll have to compare. I don't know what I'm going to do, but let's see what these 2 are. There's the bounty token one. That's what I was wondering about. So it's 3 influence for every 2 bounty tokens. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that'd be 12. I don't have 2 improved techs yet. And this is worth 12 right now. So I'm not sure what would scale better. This one I do have the glory tokens, and I could potentially have a bunch of credits. But credits are something I spend, bounty tokens I'm not spending. I'm going to grab this. I don't know if I'll slot it or not. And there's always a chance I'll still grab that one. I don't really know. But now I also gain a bounty token, so let's take one of these. And what am I going to take for my bonus? I'd kind of like the 2 credits, but considering I just gained this, maybe I keep going with bounty tokens. No, I think I need the credits. All right, I'm going from 6, 2 more, I go up to 8. Okay, because I'm going to need some to pay for this track as well. Plus actions on my next turn. I've got 1 more turn left. So that was these 2. I did this action. I did both things on this action. Now I'm going to take this action. And so I'm going to invade. I'm going to invade that rift. And I could spend this trade token to get the absorption from autonomous drones. And if I do that, I'll close the rift and have 3 destroyers remaining. Otherwise, I could invade just as is, abandoning that current sector that I'm in. I would lose 1 destroyer to the sector defense, and then as the attacker, I would have an extra initiative. So the initiative would still be tied 3-3 for the first salvo, so we'd fire at the same time. I would lose 1 destroyer, so I'd be down to 1, but my 2 destroyers would each add an additional damage, which would take out all 3 Voidborn fleet power. So if I abandon the sector I'm in and I just attack without using a trade token, I'll still survive the attack with 1 destroyer remaining. And the only reason I would do that is because I kind of want to use a trade token next turn, but I think that's going to leave me in a terrible position to have to deal with this skirmish and then another one at the end of the cycle. So I will spend this trade token for autonomous drones. So this goes back to the board, and because I have trade nexus, I will get a bonus, and I'll take a bounty token for this one. We get 1 food and 1 material. Not a bad thing to get. Up to 13 food, 3 material. So the bounty token goes here. And so I'm still attacking with everything. I'm going to abandon my sector. So the installations go away. The guild remains. We're going to need another Voidborn Corvette and another bounty token. And I need to lose another number 1 glory token. I could lose the 4, but why? So I have 1 approach absorb, and I do a 1 approach damage. I forgot about that. Which means if I don't spend the trade token, I would have done 1 damage on the way in, then I would have had initiative and taken them all out. I would have had 2 fleet power left instead of 1. That might have been tolerable, but it's too late because I already grabbed a bounty token. So I got some revealed knowledge. Well, I could have maybe saved that trade token. That's okay. So I've got the initiative, or wait, they lose 1 on approach. Now I've got the initiative. I fire once plus another 3 times. So I have more than enough firepower to take out all these Voidborn. So I win the combat. I've got to take that Harbinger, and I guess that's going here. It's getting real full. And now I close, that was a combat, so 4, 5, 6, 7 influence for that. I'm at 82, so that's going to get me up to 89. I close the rift, so I either get 5 resources or remove 1, almost like catastrophe, I wish, 1 corruption. I'll take this one off my house mat. And now I flip over the tile and add a population die. So that is 1 pure variable population. So that was this action. I have not done this yet, so I can add a sector defense somewhere, or a shipyard or something else, but I can add an installation, probably a sector defense. Let's look at what this skirmish would look like. So now I've got no corruption on my house mat, and a modifier of +1 here and +1 here. So the Voidborn would skirmish me at 2. If they come here at 2, I'm going to win. If they come here at 2, I'm going to win. If they come here at 2, they're going to take the sector. Now, thinking about it, even if I put a sector defense there, if they come in with 2, the initiative will be tied 1-1. They'll still take, it'll be a tie, but then it'll be an abandoned sector, so they'll take it. So I think that sector is going down either way. So I'm just not taking another catastrophe. So for this action, I could activate a fleet power, but I don't have any more to activate. I'm going to place sector defense here in this Genesis sector just to beef it up a little bit so I don't have to worry so much. So now, turns over, I'm going to return this trade token to the Galactic board. I can get a bonus, and I might as well take another bounty token. So this will be my 10th bounty token. And I've got an energy and a material. I know I'll be spending some of those, so let's take the energy and material. I'm not ready for taking the influence yet. And so this goes over here. And now I've got to decide if I want to slot this. Oh, no, this is a terrible one for me. I'm not slotting this. Just putting a sector defense. That's fine. Okay, that goes there. I don't know if it was worth it to grab that one. I got the sector defense, which was nice, but it did cost me a corruption to take it. And that was pretty problematic. So now we've got to resolve the crisis board. So we've already kind of determined I'm going to lose this sector. So I have not successfully defended, so I don't get that bonus. The installation goes away. Another 2 Voidborn fleet power here and a bounty token. Here we go. And I am going to lose another glory token. And now I've got to resolve this economic row. So that's going to be 2 materials. I go from 4 to 2. 2 energy. I go from 1 to 0 and spend a credit down to 7 of those. Then 1 science. I've got 14 science left. So that was a war card. I've got one turn left this cycle. Pretty sure about that. Innovation, prosperity, temptation, politics, conquest. Yeah, I've got one more. And we know it won't be a war card for my crisis card because I'm out of those. And I can probably clear this. So we've got, man, another number 3 crisis. We're getting hammered. Man. So we've got an economic crisis. Reap what you sow. Gain 12 or more food in a single turn, including food lost to stockpile cap. Otherwise, I can corrupt an occupied agenda slot, which is a real rough thing to get on the last turn of the cycle. And I'd like to take the penalty now so I can remove the corruption with development, but that's really not the way it works. Ooh, and one thing I just realized, when I abandoned that sector, I did not lower the level on my energy production. Didn't have any effect on anything, but let's set it correctly. And I could almost make this work, but not quite. If I played production, I could advance my society track to raise a pure population. So this could go from 2 to 3. And then with this agenda, I could, well, maybe I could make this work. I was going to say build a farmer's guild here, and the population would be 3, so my level would go up. Yeah, and I would produce 6 food, and then if I produce food here again, that would be another 6 food, so that would count. But then I just wouldn't get to play development instead, which would allow me to add probably another sector defense, which would be helpful, and I could remove a corruption. Well, I don't have that much corruption anymore now that I'm looking at it, because I just lost all my corrupted sectors. So it kind of annoys me, because if I had known I was going to play production instead of development, I wouldn't have grabbed robotics, I would have grabbed energy cells. But production's the only way I can solve this. I don't want to corrupt one of these agenda slots going into the evaluation phase, because I'm going to lose a ton of points that way. And the only other option is just make this ongoing and then play production right away next cycle, kind of no matter what, because I got to clear that up. But maybe that's an option. But if I put this off, that means I need to save this agenda card to pair with this. And I really want to get this into play before the end of the cycle, because this one's actually worth way more than this one now that I've lost some glory and gained some bounty tokens. So, shoot, I guess I'm not playing development. I am going to play production. Not necessarily what I want to do, but it's what I'm going to do. So we'll start with Thrive. We're going to advance my society track, and I'm going to raise 1 pure population. Let's do this one here. So this goes up to 3. My science production goes up 1. I guess I'll take that. And my science yield is now 10. And now I'll take this action. I'm going to build a farmer's guild here. So that makes that level go up 3 more times from level 6 to level 9. My yield is now 6. And then I produce food. So I have 13. I produce 6. 1, 2, and I've overproduced. 1, 2, 3. So I'm at 92. And I've produced 6 food so far this turn. And now I'm going to take this action, produce my 3 supply resources. So that's another 6 food. That is a second overproduction and 12 food in total. So that takes care of this crisis card. And I have no energy production, but I do produce 5 materials. That gets me up to 7 materials. And I overproduce twice in a turn, so let's build 1 level of safe haven. I'll deactivate 1 fleet power and then send it over here. Okay. And I also gain influence for my basic guilds that are pure, and I've only got 1, 2, 3 of those. That's pretty weak. 1, 2, 3. I'm at 98 influence. That was both of these actions and this action. I am going to replace my wealth agenda. Put this on the bottom of the stack, and this is taken care of. And we are going into the evaluation phase. So first we need to skirmish at 1. Plus 1 is 2. If 2 Voidborn come in here, they're both going to get taken out by sector defense. If 2 come here, 1 is taken out by sector defense. I have the initiative, and then I win. If 2 come here, I'm going to have the initiative, but there's going to be a back and forth. So there's 3 of me, 2 of them. I fire first. There's 1 of them left, because all these bonuses are just as the attacker. So they'll fire on me. I'll lose 1 fleet power. The next salvo, it'll be 2 to 1. I'll have the initiative. I'll fire, and they won't return fire. So I do need to lose 1 fleet power from this sector. That comes back to here. But I did survive the skirmish. And now I've got to pay the economic row. So 2 materials go from 7 to 5. 2 energy. Energy's at 0, so I go from 7 to 5. And 2 science. I go from 14 down to 12. Oh, no, wait, I was looking at the wrong spot. Only 1 science. I've got 13 science left. Now we check for upkeep. I've got 8 here from my agendas, plus 9, 10, 11. And I have 15 food. So that goes all the way down to 4, and my upkeep is covered. And now we do our safe haven check, and I still have 1 pure sector with 6 population and 3 guilds, so I'm going to deactivate another fleet power, build a level of safe haven. 1 more will get me another bonus. That'll be good. I probably need to remove a Harbinger. And now let's check the Galactic event. So a few things. 1, there's ongoing during evaluation. It doesn't say exactly when, but it doesn't really matter. Add a Voidborn fleet power on each sector with a Harbinger. So it's going to be 1 here, and 1 here, and 1 here. That was part of the reason why I wanted to get all the way to the Rift this cycle so that I didn't have to deal with an extra fleet power. Even though I think had there been an extra fleet power, I still would have won with the same result, but didn't want to deal with it. So we've taken care of that. Now, for each reclaim token I have, gain a bounty token. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reclaim tokens. So 5 bounty tokens is going to be pretty awesome. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 more, please. Oh, man, that's going to be some points. 5. So we've got an energy and a science. 1 resource of any type. 2 food. 1 resource of any type. A food and an energy. I'm going to grab all these resources. So 1 energy, 1 science, 2 food, 1 food and 1 energy, and then 2 resources of any type. Let's make it 2 credits, 5 to 7. So I'm at 7, 2, 5, 7, 14. Not bad. And then that's going to net me some points. Okie doke. Let's see now. I don't have 0 catastrophe, so I'm not removing a corruption, but that's okay. Now we're going to score my agendas that are pure, which is all of them. So my first starting agenda, 1 influence for each basic tech, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that gets me up to 102. 3 influence for each improved tech. I've got 1 of those. I'm at 105. Each pure sector is 3 influence. I've got 1, 2, 3. So that's 9 influence. So it takes me to 114. Next, if I have 2 improved techs, 4 influence. I've only got the 1, so I don't get anything there. Now my bounty tokens, each pair of bounty tokens is 3 influence. I've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So that's 7 pairs. 7 times 3 is 21. So that is 135. I don't have 2 pure sectors with 5 or more pop, but I do have a pure statecraft track. It's tier 2, so 2 times 4 is another 8 influence. That gets me up to 143. Next, do I have 8 or more food yield? No, I'm at 6. Oh, that's too bad. Kind of forgot that was even there. And then 2 influence for each pure shipyard or starbase. I've only got 2 of those that are pure. This one's corrupted. So that's 4 influence. Man, I should work harder on that one. So that gets me to 147. Not bad. I usually aim for about 120. So the second cycle was difficult. I lost 3 sectors along the way, 2 of them voluntarily. But I think I did a lot of good work. So that safe haven should more or less take care of itself. I've got some fleet power up there. If I can get a trade token, it's going to be pretty strong. With a single trade token, I could abandon that sector and take this one and get the 1 bounty token that's there, plus the reclaim token, plus the 2 on capture bonus, 2 more bounty tokens. So another 3 bounty tokens would be good. And the sector ability is not bad either. And then maybe I just park it there and keep that sector. But there's a lot of other good stuff here too. I could try and take that one. If I can get a shipyard down there, put some more destroyers out, maybe I take that too. That would be super cool. I'm not too concerned with taking out that last rift, although with the 2 catastrophes, maybe I should be. But I feel like I'm driving my score up, and that's going to only continue in the 3rd cycle. But I definitely think I need to get another Bankers Guild down or improve this population to score for this, and then get a bunch of shipyards down or potentially star bases. But I think energy cells is probably the way to go. I think I want to get energy cells and put down some shipyards. And if I can get this up to 5, that would be great for this. I'm sure I'll get another improved tech. So I don't know. We'll see how all that goes. But going into cycle 3, I'm again going to refresh the heroic cards. I'm going to refresh all of this stuff. So 2 more level 2 crises cards, 2 more level 3 or alert cards, I should say, and another war card. I'll remove a trade token. I'll refresh all 4 of these improved techs. I didn't grab any of those. And then we will get our unknown galactic event, and all these cards will go back into my hand. So stick around while I do all that, and I'll see you in cycle 3. All right, I am back for cycle 3, and what a cycle this is going to be. I've spent a little time here trying to plan out what I'm going to do, and I think I sort of have a plan. I'm going to try and maximize my own score more than necessarily knocking the Voidborn score down, but it's going to be some of both. But I think I've got a pretty decent plan, but of course the alert cards and crisis cards could really throw a wrench in it. So we're going to see how it goes. But we've got here Shadow of the Void as our galactic event. So there are going to be 6 turns this cycle. But we're going to have to add more corruption to this game, and that is not great for me. So we'll get there in a second. The heroic cards are Progress, Politics, and Conquest, which I don't really love because I have special politics and special conquest, and I'd kind of like to use them for their special purposes as opposed to the heroic purposes. And then what I think I'm going to try and do is fortify this sector, get more destroyers up there, like maybe all 4 of these up there, and then try and take the Novricon Palace and the Megalopolis before the end of the cycle. And I think I'm going to try and grab 3 improved techs while I'm at it. And then I'm feeling pretty good about all these scoring conditions, except for maybe this one here of 2 sectors with 5 or more pure population. I think I could do it. I could probably take this sector and purify it. But it's really important to me for this galactic event. So the 2 scoring conditions are on the top, you can either score 1 influence for your highest production yield, so whatever your yield is of any resource, plus 1 influence of your for your production yield of your lowest type of your supply resources, so food, materials, or energy. That was a little bit complicated, but I like this bottom one much more. It's have 0 corruption on your house mat and 5 or more techs. I already have that done, and you just get 20 influence for that. I like the sound of that, so I need to keep corruption off of my house mat as much as possible, but that's not going to be possible throughout the entire cycle. So I need to end the cycle with no corruption on my house mat, which might mean that this corruption needs to stay. We're going to see. There's a chance I could get lucky with some of these reclaim tokens up here. I don't know. But let's start with this galactic event. So the first thing we need to do is add a corruption to every agenda offer. So that hurts a bit. That's 8 more influence for the Voidborn now in the game because they get 2 influence for each corruption at the end of the game. So I'd really like to get those out of there, but I've had a real hard time managing corruption up till this point. So I'm gonna have to balance that. And then the next thing we need to do is add a Voidborn fleet power on each Voidborn sector with 4 or more population. So this rift has no population, but there's 4 pop here. There's 4 here on the research complex, but that can't hold any more Voidborn fleet power, so that one's just done. We're gonna need 1 for this sector back here. And finally, 1 for the Megalopolis, which can hold another fleet token. So that's going to go here. And now I can either remove a corruption, and at the moment I only have 1, and it's right here. Or I can corrupt one of my agenda slots to advance a civilization track. So I'm going to take that second option, believe it or not. I'm going to corrupt an agenda slot. I guess this is my weakest one. We'll put it there right now. And I can advance the civilization track. And so I'm going to advance the economic track. So that gets up to tier 2 now. That unlocks another improved tech. I've only got 1, so I can have 3 more now. And now I can also gain a trade token and build a guild. So let's build the guild first. I'm going to put that here in my original outpost sector. So I'm using a farmer's guild, so that needs to go up by 2 levels. So it's at level 9, now it is at level 11, and my yield is now 10, and I was looking for at least 8 to score this agenda down here. So now I've got that done, and I can also gain that trade token, so let's take one of those. And the trade bonus, I'm going to take another bounty token. So get the old draw bag here, and we get, 1 food and 1 energy or 1 influence. And I'm going to take the resources because I'm going to have a lot of upkeep. So 1 food and 1 energy, I'm up to 8 and 3. Upkeep might be a real problem come the end of the game here. Let's move all my reclaim tokens, I think, over here for now because I'm just running out of space a little bit. And we'll put this bounty token here. So now we are ready for the first of 6 turns. I need to draw the alert card. And we have, oh my goodness. Well, it's the last war card, luckily, but man, I am not in a position to defend myself right now. Oh my gosh, that's extremely painful. I don't know if I'm going to take a catastrophe. I might. So that was incredibly unlucky. I really could have done without that. So I'm going to proceed with my master plan because I've spent a long time coming up with this. So let's hope I can outscore the Voidborn. I am going to play my special Conquest card. And I'm going to start with this middle action here. So I need to spend 3 credits. I go from 7 down to 4. And I can gain an agenda and a trade token. And so let's start with the trade token. Let's take one of those. And I am actually going to take 2 food because I'm a little bit worried about upkeep. And I don't think I'll be producing any food. So I go from 8 up to 10 now. And for my agenda, I'm going to gain a might agenda. And I'm actually going to take this one. I think this might actually replace this one. If I can get a couple sectors with 3 fleet power at the end, I think I might do that. But they've got to be pure sectors. That'll be tough. And I do need to take this corruption now. I'm going to put it on this old rift sector up here. All right, let's reveal the next one of these. Okay. I'd probably score pretty good for that one too. Yeah, that definitely would have been better. Oh well. Now I'm going to take this bottom action. So I need to spend 1 science. I go from 14 down to 13, and I'm going to gain a basic tech. And I am taking star bases. That is going to be my 6th tech. So I gain 4 influence for that. Go from 147 to 148, 49, 50, 51. Okay, 151 now. And I can now build a starbase. So I'm going to throw that right back up in that old rift sector. All right, so I can have one of those per sector. Let's go ahead and slot this. And when I deploy, those count as a shipyard, and that does stack with orbital docks. And when I add one to a pure sector, I can increase the population. Of course, this sector was corrupted. And now I also get to produce science. So I have 13 science, I produce 10. 1, 2, and now I've overproduced. The other 8 becomes credits. So I've got 4, so it's going to go all the way up to 12. And so I've overproduced. So that is 3 more influence. 1, 2, 3. I'm up to 154. And that is it for that card. So we go to this war card now, and I just cannot deal with that right now. That is a real big problem. This is going to cost me. I'm going with my last catastrophe token. I'm placing that there to get rid of the war card. So it's a pretty rare day when I have a 3rd catastrophe. And so I can either remove a corruption or gain 5 resources. And I think I'm going to take the resources. And I'm going to take them in the form of food. I've got 10 food. I'm going to go up to 15. All right, just to make sure I can pay upkeep when the time comes. So that was pretty nasty. Let's draw the next alert card. At least I know there's no more war cards coming. I've seen them all. We have a level 2 alert. And so here's our level 2 crisis. It is a economic crisis called Disharmony in Leadership. When you play a agenda, choose to forfeit taking its action. Otherwise, you can skirmish. I know I don't want to skirmish. Although the war card was skirmishing at +1. Just a regular skirmish I might be able to handle. In fact, yeah, I can definitely handle. So I'll probably plan on skirmishing. So what I'm going to do now is... and I didn't slot these 2 trade tokens last turn. Should have done that. Okay. I'm going to play Progress to take Heroic Progress, and I'm going to pair it with this Might Agenda that I just picked up. And I'm going to start with the Agenda action. I'm going to advance my lowest track, which is my Society track. So that goes up, and now I can remove a Corruption, and I'm going to remove this one here from my old Outpost sector. And now I'm going to take this action. So I need to spend 1 food and deactivate a Fleet Power. So there goes the Fleet Power. And I'm going to spend a credit instead of a food, so I go from 12 down to 11. And I'm going to remove a corruption now. I'm going to take this one off of my house mat. So that makes the skirmish even better. And I'm going to gain a tech, and I'm going to get improved star bases. So that goes here. That's another 6 influence for me. I'm at 154, so that's going to bring me up to 160. And now immediately I can place another star base somewhere. And the way this works now is now I can have up to 2 star bases per sector. Each one still counts as a shipyard. And when I place one in a corrupted sector, I can remove the corruption from that sector. Or if it's a pure sector, I can still raise the population. So I'm going to put this back up in that old rift sector again and remove the corruption. So now I am corruption free, which is pretty nice. And now I'm going to take this action, which is free. I can build a scientist's guild and produce science. So I've only got... The only guild slots I have are up in that same sector. So I'm going to put that there. My level goes up by 1. So I'm at level 12 now. And then produce science. I'm already at 15 and I'm producing 12. So the rest will turn into credits. I'm already at 11 credits. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 more credits. That's it. I'm all full up. But that is another overproduction, and that is 3 more influence. So I'm up to 163. So that was pretty good. And so now that was it for that turn. I obviously did not forfeit this action, but I'm going to skirmish. And I've got no corruption here and only a modifier of +1 here. So I'm skirmishing at 1. So everywhere that the Void board would skirmish me, I've got at least 1 approach damage. So I win the skirmish. This goes away, and the heroic progress card goes away. And I think I will keep this agenda replacing this one. So industrial nourishments is going to go away. I'm going to take intensive warfare. It's a bit of a gamble, but I think it will score. It has the potential to score higher, and I think I will do it. It's too bad I didn't get this one, though, this research archives. I definitely would have scored really well for that. But now it's time for our next alert card, and it's a level 2 alert. So let's get the crisis card. And so we have a military crisis. Oof, Band of the Brave. After you regroup, have 5 or more fleet power adjacent to the same harbinger. I don't see that happening. The immediate penalty is to remove 2 non-home sector defenses. I might do that. Really wouldn't be the end of the world. So, okay, let's continue. My next move is to play Innovation. And I'm going to start with the middle action in Invent. So I'm spending 2 science. I go from 15 down to 13 to gain a tech. Let's see, I've got 2 improved techs, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 improved techs unlocked. So I can get another improved tech. I certainly can't get another basic since I've already got 6 slots filled, but I'm going with improved trade nexus now. So this will go here. That's another 6 influence. So I go from 163 to 169. And I can either gain a trade token or an agenda card. And what this adds to the previous ability is the first time I overproduce each turn, I could either gain 3 influence or a trade token without the bonus. And I think I'm more interested in the influence, really. I think I'm going to have trade tokens kind of covered, but it's good to have another improved tech, and I want that immediate bonus of an agenda, and I am taking a support agenda. And I don't see myself keeping it, but I'm not real interested in that one either way. So let's flip 2 more over. Heavy industry or environmental exploitation. I'm not really interested in any of these, like at all. I guess I'll take this one because I don't plan on building any engineers guilds. And I don't think I'm going to have a bunch of pure sectors with bankers guilds either. And I definitely don't want a corrupted society or civilization track because I'm trying to have no corruption on my house mat. I do have a pair of pure miners guilds, so that's a 5 influence, but I do not see myself keeping this. But that's okay. I just wanted it for the action. Let's fix the mess I just made here out of my bounty tokens. And I need to take this corruption and put it somewhere. Although before I place it, I just gained an agenda while having 4 or more upkeep from pure sectors. I've got 1 here, 2 here, and 3 and 4 here. So while I had that, I gained this agenda. So I'm going to call that completed. And now I'm going to place this corruption in this sector. I think that's fine. If you think that that's not fine, then you can let me know in the comments, but I disagree. Because the moment that I took this gain agenda action, I had the 4 pure upkeep. So I think that's fine. So now I'm going to take this top action. It costs 2 food. I'm actually going to spend 2 credits. So I go from 15 credits down to 13. And now I can produce science and credits. So I produce science. I have 13. It produces 12. So that turns into 15. The overflow comes to here. I don't even produce any credits, but that's okay. They're both maxed out again. I overproduced science. And you know what? That's the first time I overproduced this turn. And I'm actually going to gain a trade token without a trade bonus. Although, ooh, I did mess up a little bit. I forgot about the no trade bonus. I thought I was going to get the bonus. I was going to activate this fleet power. That could be a big problem. I might be a fleet power short now. We're going to see. But okay, that's the end of my turn, so I am going to slot this trade token, and now I need to deal with this, and I think I will remove 2 non-home sector defenses. I'll remove this one and this one. That at least reduces my upkeep some. And now I'm kind of okay that I didn't get this agenda here after losing a couple of those installations. So this crisis is done. Let's draw the next alert card. We are halfway through this cycle, and I haven't done half the stuff I said I was going to. We have a level 3 alert. And it is an economic crisis. This is Rust and Decay. After you gain a corruption, choose to also spend 12 supply resources, so food, materials, or energy in any combination. You may not use credits. Jeez. Otherwise, the Voidborn can consume the leftmost improved tech and a basic tech. Wow, that is steep. Well, tough cookies. My plan is too tight to change, so I'm going to keep going. I am playing reinforcement, and I'm pairing it with this agenda. And so I'm going to change the order in which I was going to do these things to make use of the fact that I am not going to have this active fleet power that I thought I was. So I'm going to start with the agenda action, activate a fleet power, and I can build an installation. So I'm going to build a star base, and I'm going to build it here in this Genesis sector, and that allows me to now remove that corruption. So I am once again corruption free. And now I will take this muster action. So that costs 2 materials. I'll spend 2 credits. I go down to 13 credits, and I can deploy a fleet power to each shipyard. And my star bases count as shipyards, and I have orbital docks, so each shipyard counts as 2 shipyards. So that means I could take all 4 of these fleet power and put them up there in that old rift sector, and I'm going to do that as destroyers. So now we're making big moves. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4. All right, pretty stacked up there now, which is the way I wanted it to look. I'm going to take this action now. So I need to deactivate a fleet power. I have no active fleet power, so if and only if you have no active fleet power, you may recall one from the map first. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to recall this Corvette from my Genesis sector and then deactivate it. Now I can advance on one track, and I'm going to do the Society track because I don't want to deactivate any more fleet power. So I am going to do this. Ooh, I think. Yeah, that is what I'm going to do, but this is going to be tight. I can take a Might agenda. I might as well take this one, just in case, since I was eyeing it, but I don't expect I'm going to play it. And what else? Now I can build a sector defense. I think I might want one of those here now, since I lost fleet power. So, okay, things are happening. So I have no trade tokens to slot. I'm not keeping this agenda, so let's put this on the bottom. And then we've got this crisis card. I think I can afford to suffer this penalty, so I'm going to do that because I don't want it ongoing because I can't take any more catastrophes. So I better get rid of this now. So the leftmost improved tech is orbital docks. And then I've got to take energy cells from basic techs because that one has +4 influence. So these 2 have just been consumed. That's going to be 10 influence for the Voidborn at the end of the game. I don't like that very much, but hey, it's what it is. So between that catastrophe token I took on the very first turn this round, and then these 2 consumed techs, that's basically like another rift. So that's pretty steep. This is going to be closer than I wanted it to be. But I've got 2 turns left. Let's try and make the most of them. We're going to have another level 3 crisis. And this one is a military crisis while resolving a reinforcement focus. That's not going to happen. Deploying 3 different peer sectors. Otherwise, if I don't want to make this ongoing, I can remove 2 non-home guilds and decrease a non-home peer population or spend 6 materials. Okay, I can probably manage the immediate penalties. So I'm going to play my special politics card, and I would really like to use that activation action, but I'm not going to. I'm going to take heroic politics, and I'm going to flip a trade token to take all 3 actions. And the first thing I'm going to do is this middle action, which is an invasion. I need to spend 2 energy. I'm going to spend 2 credits instead. I go down to 11 and 1 science, which takes me down to 14. That's fine. Now I can remove a Voidborn fleet power from an adjacent sector. It really doesn't do anything for me, but I'll remove one of these. It's going to be removed anyway in a second. Well, you know what? Just in case there's some weird game effect that comes up, let's remove this one actually instead, and we'll just put that back there. Just in case there's some sort of penalty or something that I can add, Voidborn fleet power to an adjacent sector. I don't know, just to give myself the option, because if I take it from there, it's kind of a waste because I'm going to get rid of it anyway. So now I am invading, and I'm going to use autonomous drones as the invader. So I'm spending a trade token right now. So I'm returning this to the Galactic board, and I have Trade Nexus, so I gain a bonus. And I was going to take the 3 influence, but you know what? I'm going to activate a fleet power just to get that back. If I lose by 3 influence, I'll be upset. Because I think I can get by without this fleet power, but I don't want to push it. So anyway, I'm invading. I spent that trade token to get autonomous drones, so I have 1 approach absorb and 1 salvo absorb. So I'm going to leave 1 fleet behind. I'm going to attack with 5. And there are 2 sector defenses. So I'm going to absorb 1, and I'm going to take a hit from another. But I have improved destroyers, so I do 1 approach damage. Now the initiative is 4 plus 1 is the attacker, 5 to 1. And so I'm going to do actually 5 damage right now. And the Voidborn won't fire back, but even if they did, I'd have a salvo absorb. So I won that without much trouble. Big damage from the destroyers is cool. I've got to remove that sector defense, but I'll see what that reclaim token is first. Let's start with this glory token here. Maybe I should move these as well. So I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 glory. That'll take me from 169 to 177. And let's see what these are. I've actually got a reclaim and a bounty, and then when I capture the sector, I gain 2 more bounty tokens. But let's start with the reclaim. I hope it lets me build an installation, actually, but not a sector defense. I can build an engineer's guild or gain 1 resource of any type. And that engineer's guild actually would not help me score in any way, shape, or form. So I think I am going to take 1 resource of any type, and you know what? Let's take an energy just in case to help pay off some upkeep maybe. So, all right, that was not that cool. Let's remove that sector defense. I don't get to keep it. All right, but there is still a pre-printed sector defense. And now I gain this 1 bounty token plus 2 more bounty tokens for capturing the sector. So let's get our 3 bounty tokens. 1, 2, and 3. So let's see, food and material, food and energy and material. And you know what? I am probably at a point here where I'm just going to take 3 influence, 1 for each. So I go from 177 to 180. And then these will score me some points later as well. That is looking pretty nice there. And so now I'm going to take this bottom action. I need to remove a non-home installation. And I'm actually going to remove this shipyard here because that's not really doing anything for me anymore. So I'll just reslot that so I'm not paying the upkeep anymore because I was getting a multiplier for every pure shipyard or starbase, but now I just need 3 pure shipyards and starbases total, so don't really need that. So now I've reduced my upkeep and I can remove a corruption from a sector and I can remove a harbinger. So let's take the corruption out of this sector I just captured. And as for the harbinger, I don't know, let's take this one off the rift. That should be fine. And I did use a trade token, so now let's take this top action. That's going to cost 2 credits and 1 science. So I'm down to 9 credits and 13 science, which is quite a bit. So I'm going to advance my statecraft track. That is going to require that I deactivate a fleet power, and I can gain a dominance agenda. I think I'll probably keep the one I have, but let's look at the next 2, and we can see how those might score. And you know what? I'm going to take this one. I think this one will score better than the one that I have. Neat. And I need to take a corruption along with that. And let's place the corruption back on the palace. But once per focus, now that I have the palace, when I advance a track, I can spend a credit to advance my lowest track. Let's do that. I'm going to spend 1 credit, go down to 8, to advance my society track. So that goes up. And now I can remove a corruption. So this one comes back off. I should have just done that rather than place it. Okay, cool. And also I can now gain a trade token. So we'll take this trade token back from the board. So I'll take 3 influence for that, up to from 180. I'm now at 183. And that is the end of my turn. So I'm going to slot this, return this other one to the Galactic board, which then gets me another trade bonus because of Trade Nexus. And I'll take another 3 influence. So now I'm up to 186. Cool, cool. Now I've got to take care of this crisis card. I really don't want to make it ongoing, and I don't see myself doing a lot of producing. So let's go ahead and remove 2 non-home guilds and lower 1 non-home population. So let's start with the population. We'll just do this palace. We'll go from 3 down to 2 because that doesn't really affect anything. And I need 2 guilds. And I don't really need these farmers guilds anymore. Maybe we'll just do these 2. And then I don't have to worry about 2 more upkeep there. So let's adjust my food production levels. I've only got 6 now instead of 11 as far as the level goes. So my yield is now 4, but that's okay because I had an agenda that wanted me to have a yield of 8, but I got rid of that at some point. So that's it. I reduced a non-home pure population, got rid of 2 non-home guilds. So this is clear. The other option was to spend 6 materials, and I had 5 materials, and I could have spent a credit as well, but I just want to make sure this doesn't get too low going into the end here, where I might need some of this for upkeep and or to pay this crisis board. So I didn't want to find myself losing influence because I couldn't pay for some of that stuff later. Let's get rid of this Heroic Politics card. And now we'll go ahead and grab the final alert card. It is a level 2 alert, and we have a general crisis. This is Toxic Bargain. After you gain a trade token, choose to also corrupt an agenda slot. Otherwise, you can remove a non-home installation and a non-home guild. And I could probably afford the penalty on that. I don't want to add corruption. That's more points for the Voidborn. I think I can remove stuff, a guild and an installation without losing any points. So that should be fine. So let's play my final card. It is Temptation. I'm pairing it with this Dominance Agenda. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this exploit action. I'm going to copy a preferred focus action, and I'm going to copy from progress this invent action. So I need to spend 2 science and I can gain another tech. So we spend 2 science. I go from 13 down to 11. And I will take one more improved tech. I will take improved autonomous drones. That is my 4th improved tech. I've unlocked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So good on me. I get 6 influence for that. So I go from 186 to 192. And I also can gain a trade token. So let's take that. That goes here. I could corrupt an agenda, but I'm not going to, I don't think. And let's take for our trade bonus 3 influence. So up to 195 now. And now we can slot this. And so improved autonomous drones, when I spend a trade token during attack, I gain 1 approach absorb and 2 salvo absorb. And then during the skirmish and the evaluation phase, I just automatically win the combat. So I don't even have to spend a trade token for that. That's fantastic. So now let's take this Dominance Agenda action. I am going to invade this megalopolis from here, and I will spend this trade token. So send it back to the Galactic board for 1 approach absorb and 2 salvo absorb. So we put that there. And for trade nexus, for returning it, I will take another 3 influence. 1, 2, 3, I'm up to 198. Now I'm going to invade with 3 destroyers. There is 1 sector defense, but I've got an approach absorb. I do 1 approach damage, so they're going to lose this Corvette. And now I've got the initiative, 1, 2, 3, +1 is the invader with destroyers. So I've got 4 initiative to 3. So I fire 1 time, and then each destroyer does an additional damage. So I do 4 damage in the first salvo. They don't even get to fire back, but if they did, I had 2 salvo absorb. So that is the end of that combat. So let's resolve this stuff. We'll get rid of the sector defense, and we gain number 5 glory token. So 5 and 4 is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 glory. Go from 198, 199, 201 to 11. Cool. And now there is another bounty token and reclaim token. I hope that the reclaim token can give me the ability to build a starbase. That'd be great. Let's start with the bounty token. We've got a food and a material or 1 influence. So I'll take the influence on that. That gets me up to 212. Put that here. And the reclaim now. Come on, come on, come on. 1 scientist guild or 1 research or 1 resource of any type. And so none of that's really going to help me one way or another. So I think I'll take a resource and I'll take an energy. So I go from 4 to 5. Sure. So, okay. That was kind of a bust on that front. That's all right. And now I'm going to take this middle action. I need to take a corruption. And I'll put it back here in this Novercon Palace sector. Doesn't really bother me too much there. And I've taken my corruption. Now I'm going to advance a track. I'm going to advance my economic track. So that's going to make me deactivate a fleet power to get into this tier. And now I can score my glory. 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I go from 212, 13, 14, 15 to 25. And because I have the Novercon Palace, and this is the first time I advanced a track, this turn, this focus, I can spend a credit to advance my lowest track. So we'll do that. So I go down to 7 credits, and I'll advance my lowest track, which is Society. And now I can remove a corruption and increase a pure population. So let's remove this corruption from the megalopolis to give me a bigger pure population. And where do I want to raise a population? I don't see that it really matters in any way, so I'll just raise my home population to 4. And that brings my scientist's yield finally maxed out at 15. So, okay, that was pretty cool. Now I'm going to slot this agenda, replacing my previous dominance agenda. I think that's good. And now I need to deal with this crisis. I don't think I want to make it ongoing. That'll be 5 points. Instead, I can just remove these 2 sector defenses and not lose any points. Or, I'm sorry, 1 sector defense. Doesn't matter. I'll remove, yeah, sure. This sector defense, we'll slide this over. And 1 guild from anywhere. I guess this guild. That is not doing anything for me. Technically, my science yield goes back down. That's okay. So I can get rid of these, and that gets rid of this crisis. And that is it, friends. That was 6 turns. The cycle: Conquest, Progress, Innovation, Reinforcement, Politics, and Temptation. Now we go to the evaluation phase. We start by resolving the crisis board, and because I have improved autonomous drones, I automatically win the skirmish in the evaluation phase, so I don't even need to worry about it. And that's a pretty good feeling. Although looking around, I think I would have won anyway, because it would have just been a skirmish at 1. So now I need to resolve the economic row. I need to pay 2 material, 2 energy, and a science. So here's a science, and I'm going to use 4 credits for the rest. I go from 7 down to 3. Now it's time for upkeep. And I've got 2 trade tokens, so that's good. So 1, 2, 3, 4 upkeep. Here's number 5. I got rid of a lot of stuff, actually. Here's a 6th for that sector and a 7th for that sector. That's it. Man, I thought it was going to be a lot more than that at one point. So I just go down to 8 food. I got plenty of leftover stuff. I was worried for nothing. And now it is time for the safe haven check. I do still have a pure sector with 6 population and 3 guilds. So this goes right here. And I can get another one of these bonuses. And I'm going to remove a Harbinger. That is going to be worth more than removing a corruption. So we'll take this Harbinger off the map. And now we check the Galactic event. I'm going for the bottom here. I have 0 corruption on my house mat. I have at least 5 techs. So I get 20 influence for that. I will take it. So I go from 225 to 245. I think I'm going to be okay, because now it's time to score my agendas. So for each basic tech, I've got 2 of those, 1 influence each. That gets me up to 147. Each improved tech is worth 3, 3, 6, 9, 12. So that's 149, 159. Cool. Or I'm sorry, 259. Each pure sector is 3 influence. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of those. So another 15 influence. It's 174. And what else? If I have 2 improved techs, I do 2 or more, then that's 4 influence. So I go up to 278. And now, ooh, these bounty tokens, 3 for each pair. So how many bounty tokens do I have? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19, 20. That's 10 pairs times 3 is 30 influence. So I'm going to go from 278, 88, 98, 08, 308. Love that one. Now for this dominance one I just got, if I have 10 or more pure population, I get 4 influence. So I've got 6 and 6 just right there. So that's going to cover it. So I go from 208 to 212. And now I look at my pure civilization tracks. Each one that's tier 1 is worth 2 influence. Tier 2, I've got one of those, is worth 4 influence. And tier 3 or 4, I've got 2 of those, is worth 6. So that's going to be 6, 12, plus another 4 is 16. So I go from 312. Plus another 6 is 318, plus 10 is 328. Finally, over here, if I have 3 or more pure shipyards or star bases, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 up there, so I'm good. That's 6 influence. So I go from 328 to 334. And finally, each pure sector with 3 or more fleet power is worth 7. I've only got 1 of those. I was going to have another one here, but again, I miscalculated how many fleet power I was going to have available. So I recalled one when I didn't think I was going to have to. So that I was hoping for 14. I only get 7. That's okay. So that's going to take me to 341. That's going to do it. I'm going to be okay. All right, awesome. Let's calculate the Voidborn score. So we are playing on hard mode. We are starting at 140. There is 1 open rift. That's going to get us up to 170. There are no incomplete safe havens. We did our job there. We do have 3 catastrophes, though, so that's going to be another 60. So that's going to go from 170. It's going to go 80, 90, 200, 10, 20, 30, 230. There's 1 Harbinger left on the map. We're up to 240. We've got 2 consumed techs. We're up to 250. No ongoing crises, no fallen houses. So now we need to count all corruption in the game. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What am I doing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's going to be another 16. 156 or 256, 266. And then population in void-born sectors. So there's no population in the rift. We've got 4, 8, 12, 13, 16, 17, 18. So 5, 4, 7, 8. We are at 284. Decently high score for the Voidborn, but not enough to beat my 341. So that was tense and a really tight third cycle. I had it planned out and I couldn't really deviate much, and I had made a mistake or two in my planning. There were definitely some crises that threw me for a loop, but I was able to pivot enough. So that was really fun. That was a really cool playthrough. I don't know if this counts as going wide. It's really funny how I ended up with the left side of the map and the right side of the map, but not the middle. It's kind of unusual, but I did the stuff that I wanted to do. Considering the rifts are far away from where you start and far apart from each other, the fact that I managed to complete both safe havens and get the rift and these 2 special sectors, and I think I got some use out of those special sectors as well. I think that's pretty great, and it's fun that I got a rare instance on camera of me getting 3 catastrophe tokens. That does not happen often, and I'm just glad I didn't need a 4th. Yeah, House Zenor, really cool house, definitely one of my favorites. Destroyers is great, cloning's great. I like their tracks. Their special cards are really cool. Conquest and Politics, I like what's going on those. It's a lot of fun. I think my only regret this game really was getting robotics. I used it exactly 0 times after getting it, so that was a huge bummer. I much rather would have had energy cells, which was available at the time, and then I think I consumed energy cells and I could have consumed robotics instead. Energy cells would have probably saved me a catastrophe token, if not 2. But hey, that's okay. Some late game star bases was pretty cool. I got to showcase how to use that for some corruption management. Man, I did a lot of corruption management this game, didn't I? I had so much corruption going on in the first cycle. I don't know how I got to the point that I did here. I guess it was probably the 3 catastrophe tokens had something to do with it. But yeah, as always, that was fun. I always love to play some Voidfall. So let me know what you thought down in the comments. Happy to talk to you about it. Hopefully I didn't make any mistakes. If I catch anything in editing, I'll put it on the screen as usual. And if I still miss something, do let me know, please. But I think that's really it this time. So if you enjoyed this, leave a like on the video, share it with somebody else who might enjoy it. You can hype it, or you can subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet. I'd really appreciate that. I've got a ton of Voidfall content, and I've got a lot more coming. Believe me, you don't know the half of it. But I had an awesome time playing. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching Table for One. Take it easy.